Welcome back to the Virgo channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to the channel, and I'm going to do a general message for Virgo, know that energy is fluid. Just interpret the message as it best resonates with you. If you're new to my channel, know that anything of any importance or relevance you can find in the description box that's in relevance to the channel is what I'm referring to. And that is my Patreon link, my website link, anything that's a special that's going on the channel, what giveaways, directions on how to enter into winning a free reading with me. It'll all always be in the description box. However, if you do want to enter into winning a free reading with me, know that I don't just look at what goes on the surface. We look at the spiritual blocks, the shadows, see how they play out as karmic themes within your experience. Also, you need to be open, obvious, to be getting that shadow reading. A lot of people want readings, but they want just what goes on the surface. I don't just look at what goes on the surface because the spiritual elements are what's going on the surface is what's going on the surface. And if you don't like what's going on the surface, and that means your person's not paying attention to you, they aren't valuing you, they're not respecting you, but they're claiming that they care about you, and they're doing a lot of things that aren't in alignment with their words. Well, you would want to know what the shadows are. You would want to know why you're attracting this type of person and how to balance out the energy, if it's even possible, with that person, or just balance out the energy within yourself. So they're actually not super long readings, but they are a little bit longer than the average reading because we take it a step further, actually two steps further. We look at the spiritual blocks and we see how they play out as karmic themes within your experience, and then how to balance out your situation. Okay, so if you want to enter into winning a free reading with me, you need to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and write whatever word of the video it starts off the video. That's how I like to do it. I like to put the card of the video, and that's normally how, Spirit tells me that we should start the reading. Something within that word triggers my intuition. So let's see what it is today. Okay. Greedy, greedy. You're going to write the word greedy in your comment box. Now, I feel it's funny, like goes to like. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're greedy. It could mean that the focus a lot is on money for you. And I feel like the focus for a lot of people right now is on their money because the world is changing. And every time we go into the store, we see that prices are higher. And that always tends to make us feel as if, are we going to have enough? Is there enough? It always makes us feel as if we're lacking something. So I'm feeling like you're connected to someone that's really focused on their finances. And they are because they came from poverty. Their family didn't have money. So they were conditioned to believe that they didn't have enough. They actually have enough, and people tend to see that they're greedy. So they're very easily manipulated through their environment. I feel like you're connected to someone that works with people that knows this about them. I'm also feeling as if this person tends to think that you're greedy, and not because you are, but because you have nice things, but because the way that you carry yourself. This person didn't come from money. So their whole idea of what money is really out of balance. When you come from a place of lack and you keep trying to obtain money, but you haven't really built yourself, what happens is that your person is always afraid because they always lose their money. They gain a lot of money and then they lose their money. And they lose their money because they trust the wrong people in their environment. They're not strong within themselves. This person also that I'm feeling that you're connected to is in separation from you because they wanted to have enough money to actually come into your life. I feel like the person that you're connected to is working all the time. And like I said, there's a part of them that I feel like went through something, maybe lost a lot of their money. There was something that went through, and that they felt like they wouldn't be able to approach you unless they had more money. That's all that I'm getting. Now we're going to see why I'm pulling that word greedy out and what the other cards have to say. Because right now, like I said, you're dealing with someone that's not balanced. You're dealing with somebody that's working all the time, trying to obtain money, doesn't see things for how they are, see things for who they are, meaning they're already in balance. No matter how much money that they acquire, it's never going to be enough until they heal whatever is lacking within inside of them. And what's lacking inside of them is the fact that who are they on a whole? Really, money has no energy except for the energy that we ourselves give it. So if our money looks like a roller coaster, like we have a lot, then we don't have any. We have a lot, then we don't have any. It's because we don't have balance. What gives a person balance is ground, knowing who they are, knowing that money is just a currency. And like I said, we're already seeing shadows because greedy is a shadow. And it's because the person's coming from a place of lack, not that fact that they want to be. So we have to see, how did your person treat you? How did your person treat you? And what are their real hidden truths? And the irony is, what you'll notice is a person's hidden truth will never be in alignment with how they truly feel. I just want to pull that other deck out. I'm going to pull that other deck out so that I can, of the hidden truths. But I have so many decks of cards. Here they are. I'm like, where are they? Oh, where are they? Okay. We're gonna pull three from the triggers because I want to know what your person did to you, what the triggers were in dealing with you, and then I want to see what their real hidden truths are before we see why you attracted this person and what they're also going to do. If they're going to come back, if they're not, like I said, they're in separation right now. Avoidance. I felt you were ashamed of me and were avoiding me, so this person didn't give you any time. And I feel like they didn't want you to get close to them. See, when a person is coming from a place of lack, and if they came from that, they think that that's their mindset because they came from a place of poverty and their whole ideas about money are distorted, then this person wouldn't want you to see them because they put on a facade. They wear a mask, making themselves really appear as if they're really wealthy, as if they have a lot of money. And I feel like they do have money, but it's not like they come from money. It's almost like I feel like this person's embarrassed from where they come from. So, and also because they're not strong within themselves, they're not a good communicator. So when there is a problem, they avoid, they would rather avoid, they build their relationships mainly on passion. So there's always like this connection somewhat, and there's this passion, but then usually once they get what they want, they don't stick around long because the relationship's never built on anything. Relationship can't be built on looks and passion. It has to be built on substance. Relationships are something that happen over time. Your person didn't give you enough time. So we can see that that would be a trigger. Trigger abandonment, forgotten, I felt invisible. Okay, so more of avoidance. I'm forgetting about you. I'm going to give you less. I feel less. So I go out and I work and I work and I obtain money and I let people perceive me from the money. But in that, I'm not giving you any attention. However, I want all this money to to influence you or to have you admire me, to have you like me. And but they're not spending any time with you. So they create this illusion like they're really like a big business, big boss man or woman, that they have so much money. And this is their way of normally getting people to give them more so they can get what they want. But in this situation, I feel like you didn't need the money. You didn't want the money. You had an actual connection with this person. And they did have a general, like a deep connection with you too. Otherwise, they wouldn't have wanted to influence the way you perceive them. But in that, when a person feels like they're not enough, that they're not good enough, then unconsciously what they're doing is that they're creating that scenario. They're creating the fact that, well, you're not going to think that they're good enough. You're not going to like who they are. You're not, and this is what this person's afraid that you would see because they don't have enough money. When really you weren't seeing them from that. You wanted a relationship. Again, triggering abandonment, substances, and you feel like the unhealthy choices that they've made have been affecting you because they can check out, right? I feel like this person is a sensitive person, but in order for them to not really look and see how they're treating you, they have to, drink, they have to smoke a lot, they have to hang out with people that they have to do things outside of themselves to get their mind off of you, to suppress the feeling of what they're doing, because I don't really feel as if they're mean people. I feel like they have feelings for you. They just don't know what to do with those feelings because they conflict so many beliefs about what they perceive that they can have because how they perceive that they are, what they perceive that they're worth. Now I'm gonna pull, actually that was three, so let's pull three more to see the behaviorisms, because right now what we see is a lot of forgotten avoidance substances to not have to deal with you, to not have to deal with their situation. And also working all the time is another way of avoidance. Troublemaker. So I feel like you ask a lot of questions, and because you ask a lot of questions to them, they perceive it as if like you're a troublemaker. Like, why are you creating trouble? How come you can't just be happy that I have feelings for you, even though I don't give you anything? You know, there's a sense of that. And I also feel like this person doesn't have good relationships. And they don't have good relationships because they don't have deep relationships. Their relationships are built on the facade of who they are. So when you don't act like who you truly are, and you have to create a facade, then that appearance that you always have to keep up is so exhausting. And then you're also attracting people that aren't like their true self. And this is what happens with your person. So there's this illusion that they can't really even have relationship. And that's really where the poverty, I think, that poverty conscious comes from. People that come from this place of lack, they don't like who they are because they don't know who they are. And so I feel again that your person grew up in an environment that there was no money. There was very little money. So they heard things over and over in their head, like there's not enough, or people like us don't have that type of luck, can't get that type of money, don't live in those type of homes, don't drive that type of car, can't date those type of people. And I'm feeling like your person perceives you as being someone that's successful, someone that has probably more money than you actually do, but because again, the way that you represent yourself, because you actually like yourself, not because of the money, your person put too much time and effort on what other people think. This is the biggest damage when we don't have money and we feel inadequate because we don't have money. And this is what I see. I see that your person cares so much about what other people think. They hide behind material things. And that's why you asking questions and you want to be real would be like troublesome for them. And they act aloof. Like again, like I don't really know um like why you keep asking me these questions. So I'm really not gonna pay any attention, any mind, which goes back to that place of avoidance. It's like it's you can hear that they hear you, but they don't want to do the change behavior. Withdrawn. I mean, that's all that we see. We see like that aloof, withdrawn, forgotten, avoidance, all these things to keep your person detached from not really having to deal with the relationship when they had the opportunity of being in a relationship with you. So we have to ask, why would you attract this person into your life? But we will after we ask the hidden truth, because just because this person is acting like this doesn't mean that they don't like. They can also be like, I like you, but I just don't want a relationship. So we always want to look at what the real hidden truths are, because it means what is their real intention. If a person's uh, hidden truth is that they like you, have true feelings for you, but they're uncomfortable with their feelings, but they're willing to work through their feelings, then the relationship has a chance because they're going to do the work. It would mean you need to be patient with them, nevertheless. But if a person is like, I don't really want this relationship, and here you are giving and giving and giving and giving, you're going to stay bound to feeling forgotten about, of feeling not important, when that really has nothing to do with you. It has to do with this person. You are attracting that person normally because you feel deserving of that. You have a wound that needs to be integrated. And that has to do with how you perceive yourself on some level. Okay, but let's look and see what the hidden truths are. We are going to pull three. You and I were too young, so they're saying that they weren't really ready when they first met you. So whether they were too young, yeah, as an age, I feel like for some they weren't too young in age. They just weren't ready to be in that type of real relationship because they either got out of a relationship, were in a relationship that was dead because this person doesn't have good relationships. And they just weren't ready. I feel like this person is very immature. And so, and I think the way that they see themselves is young. I love you. I feel like this separation apart, you leaving, has made this person actually, you got their attention finally. Like they were not looking at it, not caring. And I feel like they play games with people. They kind of string people along, breadcrumb them to get them to give them. And so, you know, if a person doesn't stick around, they haven't built a relationship, a bond with them because they haven't given any energy. The bond is only created when two people give energy. So what happens is the people that they attract, the people that they lead on, they lure in, they never give anything. With you, I feel like you were in the relationship and you watched this person never give you anything. So you didn't give anything. But however, there has always been a spiritual connection. They always felt that you were a good catch. They just weren't ready to be in a relationship when you came into their life. Some say that they were too young. Some were invested in other areas of their life. They were going to school, they were working, they were in another relationship. It wasn't the right time. And I feel like because you didn't fight them, you didn't try and deal with it. You just kind of detached from them. This person has had a lot of time to think. And again, that spiritual connection that they can't control. You know, you can't control who you fall in love with. And I wish I could share my good news with you. So I feel like the person is making changes in their life. I'm actually going to pull three more just because I'm curious. I bury myself in work to forget you. So while they can't deal with you, it's all about just working to make a lot of money, which is why they are perceived as if they're greedy, because I felt like they had enough. They don't feel as if they're enough. And until they are ready to come to you, you know, they might as well work so that when they come to you, they'll have a lot of money. And then they'll feel good enough about themselves. I don't react when people mention you. This person doesn't want anyone to see their vulnerability. And they also don't want anyone to know anything about their personal life. I also feel as if this person doesn't trust people, has had people meddle in their life, has had people manipulate them. So it's just best that whatever their plans are, that they keep them to themselves. A lot of times when we grow up in a poverty consciousness that there isn't enough, we also grow up in a place of survival where we don't feel as if we have anyone except for ourselves. We feel like as if we don't have any support. It's a real root chakra imbalance when we don't have money and we're not grounded and we're up in our head and we don't trust anybody. Then we can see why your person is acting like a stone and not showing any vulnerability one way or the other to, or mentioning your name and just kind of moving silently. But the whole time they have deep feelings for you, and the whole time they have a plan. It's time for me to heal now. So this relationship has made them look at themselves, and it's made them look at themselves because you didn't stick around for this. And I feel like they're tired of working and working and working. And I'm feeling also as if they're starting to catch on that the people that they work with are the people in the environment that benefit from them working all the time. You know, they're realizing that those people are a little bit manipulative also. So they're not trusting anybody. So I feel like this relationship has pushed this person into like reevaluating what's important to them, figuring out what's important to them, which is really important because that's, you know, how we know who we are and how we know where to put our energy. Your person just worked and worked and worked and worked and worked to obtain money. They didn't have direction before you. The people in their life were important. You coming into their life and them not really paying attention to you and then being so impacted when you left has made them look at who's in their life, you, different personality traits, how you live your life, opposed to how these people live their life. I feel like you live your life to the fullest. You're happy. You're rich within experience. You appear rich because you're happy, because you have friends. You're interactive in life. This person, I feel like all they do is work and hide behind their material things, have people be impressed with what they have. And because of that, they've only attracted greedy people and they never really knew that before. And that's what happens when we come from a place of lack. We're imbalanced, so we are always going to attract people that we need. And in this case, it's being that your person put so much emphasis on money, well, they were completely controlled by their money. So your inner child wound, why did you attract this person? Self-love, like money has no energy except the energy you give it. So being around someone that makes you feel forgotten about, someone that's withdrawn, and someone that doesn't like themselves, because people that uh, um, need substances to get through their day, to not think about certain things, they have detachment. And so I'm feeling as if you grew up with someone that had addiction problems, for some of you, a lot of you, and you didn't get the love and the nurturing that you needed, and that it was recreating this environment where, again, you felt forgotten because you were dealing with people that were withdrawn, and they acted like they really didn't care. And if you said what you needed, you felt as if you were a troublemaker. Like it was, you were expected to be invisible and not ask. And when you're conditioned in that type of environment, you're not giving yourself self-love. You're more concerned about making everyone else happy. So this whole dynamic with this person like brought you back into that experience. Well, I can ask like two more just because. Three is the number today. Wonder. So if we don't get the support, don't get the nurturing, and we don't love ourselves, we don't invest enough in ourselves, then we don't really know what's actually out there for us. We never dream of becoming something, going anywhere. Remember, if you can imagine it, you can create it. What happens is we stay in that limited mindset of it's not enough. I don't have enough. I don't feel lovable. So you have to reparent yourself by loving yourself, and then having a love affair with yourself by going out into the world and saying, hey, what is it that stirs up my passion? What gets me excited? And letting your intuition guide you, because that's the higher self. The higher self is the God part of self that already knows what you want, already knows what you want to do. So this is why it says in the Bible, be like childlike, because children don't have any expectation of what anything's supposed to look like, or how they're supposed to perform, or how things are supposed to go for them. They just go out with a clear mind and they follow their bliss. And their bliss might be finding a cardboard box and pretending it's a treehouse. It might be, you know, going out on an adventure with a bunch of friends to nowhere, going down to the school, but then being detoured along the way because they run into a carnival, just no expectations, going out into the world and discovering who you are by what calls to you, by what by where you want to invest your time, your energy, your focus, and your money. You become something. And you realize that money is just the element to get from one place to another, which is what your person needs. And for you, because you didn't get the nurturing and the support, it was about you having to go out and become yourself. And I feel like you did that. And that's why this person looks at you as differently, but you grew up very similar to the way that this person grew up. You just learned those spiritual lessons. And sing is again having your own voice, in the world. When we just work and we hide and we try to impress people, that's we don't have our own unique individuality. We don't have our own voice. There's nothing that stirs up our mind and our heart and our passions to why we would actually want to live. And so what I'm feeling is it's this person came into your life so that you could see, so that you could reparent yourself, because this is the same scenario. And also so you could see what actually transpired in your relationship. I feel it with at home life. And I say that only because a lot of times in our childhood, we don't remember. We don't remember what transpired, or we make excuses. of why what happened, but we don't realize the impact of what happened. How did it affect us? And in this story, you were someone that didn't develop enough of your gifts. You felt like you didn't really have a purpose. You really didn't have anything that stirred your soul up because you never really gave enough time or energy into creating yourself, not because that there was a problem, but because the the home that you grew up in, there wasn't enough support, there wasn't enough money. So you getting into this relationship, or again having this person come into your life, I don't even believe that the relationship ever got off the ground because this person had feelings, but they avoided and they ran from it and they did a lot of things to not deal with the relationship, and that made you go and really, like I said, find who you are. Find who you are. And ironically, that's what's making this person like say, you know what, I love you. Like I actually have feelings for you. I actually care. So I'm going to pull just two of these cards, and I don't know why I'm called to. And then we ask how to balance out the energy. Because sometimes we get a little bit more spiritual information from these cards. Like, and sometimes we don't, but sometimes we do. So let's see. I'll contact you when I'm able to. Right now, my life is too complicated to bring you into it, but know that I do want to talk to you. So they are planning on coming back. I feel like they're straightening out their life. Remember, people benefited from them being, kind of greedy. They were easily manipulated. This person's not manipulated anymore. They're just not sharing what their plans are. And everybody knows that there's something going on with them because they can see the changes. This person's not as friendly. They're not sharing anything. I feel like they're not working as much. They're trying to like slowly like do things differently. However, when all eyes are on somebody to make money or to run a business or to again to do whatever, well, any little slight move that your person makes, everyone's paying attention. So and people don't like change, especially when they're benefiting from it. So your person is having to deal with confronting people and confronting them by setting boundaries and saying, I'm allowed to have a life too. I didn't sign up to just work all the time. I feel like at one time, the people that they worked with were friends with them. They're just not your person only worked all the time. And so what's happened is those people that were once friends now just take advantage because that's what happens. People become creatures of habit, and your person didn't show that they had any other life. They hid behind that. They were the important person. They were the money maker. And so, like I said, they had root chakra imbalances. So people that have root chakra imbalances tend to try to create permanence to feel safe. So they got into a business with a bunch of people. They played a certain role within that business. People are not going to want them to change. There's going to be a lot of resistance. You better believe it, but your person needs to go through that. They need to stand up to these people in order to make changes, in order for them to shift. And that's huge. You, again, coming into this person's life has made them look at their life. That's huge. Whatever you just cleared help me to shift to. So you might have been holding on to energy, Virgo, and you're getting to a point where you're like, I don't care. And possibly because you're having a love affair with your own life, it's like you already have a rich life. You already have friends. You already have, so you were able to bounce back. And I think that also is what made your person change, actually think about you, because here they are living more in their ego. running after their finances, and here you are, you go out and have fun and you have a rich life. They normally get people to give them more, and then when the relationship ends, there's a little bit of drama and there's a little bit of whatever it is, but the person normally doesn't care. They tend to be like, well, aloof. And so with you, they tried that game, but what they see is you're not affected. And I think that for a long time you were affected, you just weren't showing them that you were affected, and so they never really could tell how affected you are. But now you're like, I don't even care anymore because like you never gave anything. So being that you never gave anything, I'm not really losing anything. So you're able to release that anger, and this is what this person feels. And I feel, because spiritual connections are like that. We can feel what the other person feels. We can feel when they're around us. We can feel when they're not. We can feel when a person's in the forefront, when we're in the forefront of their mind, and we can feel when we're in the back of their mind, and we can feel when we're not in their mind at all. And so I feel like for a long time you were angry because this person didn't give you anything, and they deliberately held back in hoping that you would react, get mad, and give them more. That's not what happened. You went on with your life, and now, like I said, you got to a place where you don't give a shit. So now they're like, well, maybe you're not as mad. And I think that that worried them a little bit, but they're also think maybe I can come towards you. Maybe I need to talk to you now. So there's almost like they were waiting for the right time to contact you. And I'm not saying that that is the right time. I don't like it when people wait. I feel like that's obnoxious. Like this person's a little bit of a coward. They're like, I'll rather you stew in it, and then eventually you'll get tired and then I'll come back. And the thing is, they're playing with fire there. If that was me, they would be playing with fire. Like it's like you don't do that. But I feel like you got to a point where you're like, fuck it, you don't give me anything anyway. So I'm not holding on to this. This person almost needs for you to abandon them to for them to like want want it enough. Okay, our hearts are connected. Take a moment to close your eyes and feel the connection. So this is they realize that this is a soul relationship. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see whether or not they felt that it was a deep connection, and they do. And I feel you do too. I just know that we're a magnet of who and what comes into our life. And a lot of times these soul relationships are not so much that we're together, it's so that we really look at ourselves. The relationship teaches us about ourselves. I just feel your person does have feelings now and they do want to come back. It's just they have to be careful when they come back, because remember, people that are in their life are not going to really want them to change their life, because it's going to impact everybody else, not just them. And your person knows that and they feel bad about that. But I feel like the feelings that they have for you, they're not going to be able to hold back. So for those of you that want to pursue this relationship, because like I said, we look at the hidden truth, and the hidden truths are this person does want a relationship. They do have feelings. They're just not ready to 100% come back into your life and do what they need to do. And the reason why is because they kind of have to like make sure everything in their work life is balanced out, because I'm feeling like I said, they have people that could be friends that became family, or family members that are in their business also. Like there's people that are attached to them that are going to definitely be influenced and not like them changing based on their greed, not really your person's greed. I just think for a long time, your person's happiness came from making everyone else happy. And now what they realize is I want a different type of, I want that connection. I want a person of my own. I don't want to just, you know, be part of this collective thing and make money for everyone and hide behind my material things. I actually see what's important in that. So release. I stop fighting my fears and the hardships of life. I control my thoughts, live in the present moment, and accept each stage of life. I work on what I have power over and put into God's hands what I can change. I trust that whatever will work out for the best, it will happen. So I'm feeling like for your person, they obviously need to release, like release some of these people, release the way that they've been like their thought patterns on money, go of really what makes a person worth knowing, what makes life worth living. They need to release certain things so that they can find out those things fully. And I'm feeling like for you, I feel like, well, it's really, if you want to be with this person, you have to release any excess anger or resentment that this person has done. It's like you're gonna have to hear this person's out. I feel like this person didn't act the way that they should have, but we know why. And so I think that when there's a lot of financial problems, it really does distort our perceptions. And because you grew up in that type of environment, that it was difficult for you and that you felt as if you were defective because you didn't have time to really fully cultivate who you are. And so releasing the perceptions from that time and maybe even releasing the anger towards parents that couldn't support you because they struggled with their own addictions for some. So it was about releasing for you. And that's because you can't forgive until you release. And there's a sense of holding on to. When we have root chakra imbalance, you better believe we have anger, we have resentment, we have, and the reason why is because we feel as if the situation that we lived in like made us broken, made us like defective in some way, made it difficult for us to do whatever it was that we were doing. Felt like it took us off our path when that's not. Every situation is divine. We're born into families that teach us. Different families will teach different things. So root chakra imbalances, though, are difficult because it means that our parents were struggling financially. They were struggling in their relationship. They were struggling because they weren't strong within themselves. So this, for you, relationship is about releasing all those negative perceptions of who you believe that you were because of the family that you were brought up in, releasing all the negative beliefs of who you perceived your family was and your ancestors were because, again, of the struggles that they had, so that you could release the anger and resentment that this person has if you want to be in a relationship with them, so that you can live in the moment. Because only in the now do you get divine guidance. And that is when we're living from this divine guidance, we're living from our higher self, which means that we're seeing everything and viewing everything through the lens of unconditional love. And so, not when we're angry, however. So, one more. The voice of the heart. I silence the fear in me and I discover the voice of my heart. The fruit of these words guides me. I trust the song of my soul. My intuition leads me on the path of light. So again, releasing so you can, again, open your heart and really be led by your heart. And that's the higher self, the God part of self, living from your soul, not living from the logical, analytical mind, which is how we met your person in the beginning, where people were thinking that they were greedy, right? Because their life was all about obtaining money and hiding behind their material things and being connected to people that benefited for their money. This is not that. This is living from the higher self. That we don't need to hide behind things. We're happy with who we are. We're again releasing any negative perceptions of who we are based on what has transpired or who did what or who made us feel a certain way, and really just listening to our heart. Because when we listen to our heart, then we're living from our true self, and then we're able to really attract the people and the situations and the experiences that are not just going to help us evolve, but going to fill us up emotionally, which is what you didn't have in childhood. And it's definitely what this person didn't give you because they didn't give you any time. So I'm going to leave that there, Virgo. You let me know whether you resonated with this, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye bye.